Greetings everyone, here is Lord Rick and this is a game War in the Pacific Admirals Edition. This is my play by email match against KilRoy, and he is the leader for the Allied forces and I control the units for Japan. This is now the last day and turn for May 42. Maybe this is also then the point where the Japanese power is at the peak, and after this period of time, the first 6 months, I think the Japanese slowly but steadily will getting weaker and weaker over time normally. But first my subs can still find here a tanker, west of Perth. And of course 4 torpedo hits is maybe a little too much, I would say, but and maybe a second tanker. Just and these are full tankers, they have fuel on board, they are burning. So one torpedo hit is normally enough, so the one captain is too aggressive. So I think this is the downside of if you choose only aggressive captains, then they will always say every torpedo fire, and then it doesn't matter what kind of ship it is. This can be wasteful. If your base of supply is nearby, maybe it doesn't matter, but I must bring my subs back to Surabaya. This needs at least 1 week to return. So there's at least 1 or 2 weeks downtime for my submarine before it can be again back in position and to blockade the port of Perth. Good. More bombardment now on China. Today, more success. This is all clear terrain, so... And if the units are moving, then they take additional damage. And this is also clear terrain. And if the unit, I think if the units also don't dig in too much, they don't have fort level, then they are also more vulnerable against all kind of bombardment, airstrikes. Oh, the Vincents are back. I thought my zeros shredded them, but maybe KilRoy rebuilt his air wing, and they're trying their best to slow or suppress my army movement in New Zealand. Yeah, nothing really too important happened in the air war. For me, it is of course important to uh, suppress these Chinese units. Two more torpedoes for burning already heavy ship. Again, this is waste, and then even don't hit the slow tanker. Yeah, and now sounds like the tanker go down. So last time the Allies attacked me and my division whole, saved my Navy Guard units, and this is the counterattack. And all the Allied forces must retreat to the west. Or they already trying to retreat, but I catch them. And none is destroyed, but all are shattered. There's no fighting equipment more left. Then the same here in Sichuan, east of Chengdu. The Chinese unit is now jumping back south. I think it's also empty. The problem is only I see here nothing more is disabled, so I don't understand. Then, yeah. Yeah, the Allies also trying to kick my units out of Pegan. Maybe KilRoy knows that I will bring in reinforcements, so he try his best. But I think I've already level 2 fort or something like this, and my defense values are more or less stable, and the Allies they lacking. They only get 30% of their tech value really in the fight, and then it's not enough. No disaster for the Allies, but a clear tactical defeat. Indian Hamilton, it's a no-go more. I'm out of supplies. Maybe this is what KilRoy see and hope that I break, but no, it's not working. Everywhere bombardments, but all of these bombardments maybe consume supplies, yeah. This is the most critical, the attack on Chongqing, the Chinese trying to kick me out of my positions. And there's still a lot of attack power for the Chinese. And I think the center of my defense is these 3 divisions. But you can see that the main issue is the Chinese have 3 times more attack value on paper. But after modifications, it is more or less the opposite. I have 3 times more. And so there's no way. I have here still high disabled units, so even if this looks always so terrible, it's not must automatically. This is I'm losing here a lot of units, but they are all guns. I'm not so sure why the game calculated like this way. I would normally say the artillery is behind the infantry. So I don't really understand why the guns are lost, but and a lot of my tanks getting disabled. But so the main for me, I lose a lot of equipment, not so much fighting forces. And for the Chinese, they lost nearly 1,000 attack value, and if in KilRoy have 3,500, and you have only now 2,500 left. So I would still say it's a tactical victory for me. And this is only bombardments. Yeah, good. So again, the air war was super quiet. Still, I mean, there was a lot of bombardment everywhere, but only standard ground attack. So no air losses for both sides. Very special. And my subs are able to sink, I think, 2 tankers. But I see only one, but there's maybe a second. Nothing really here in China. So most important is my units hold the line. My divisions have not high fatigue. They lost roughly 100 attack power, but this is attack power, so for defense it's still at least partly okay. And I don't know, I think I lost a lot of my artillery stuff again. Ground units destroyed. Yeah, so more anti-aircraft, and artillery getting destroyed. These are this heavy artillery, and this is this light anti-aircraft equipment. So this is all very cheap to rebuild and no big issue. I mean, you can see how much it cost me to recall them. The artillery is maybe most important because these are heavy hitters. But at the end, the kill ratio is still army loss points, still over 10-1. This is fine. Air war is 2-1. This is good, of course, but I think still only good. And for ships sunk 6,500 to 800, so yeah, this is also, I think, good. It's okay. But we still are behind or between this maybe 5-1 issue stuff. There is no more really a big change. It's really, I think, over time only getting better for the allies. This is the peak of the Japanese positions, if possible. Of course, you could say, okay, the Japanese also can conquer India and all of this stuff, but this is not so easy, possible, but then you must maybe play much more aggressive. And then maybe if you don't want, if you want to go more for India, we will maybe push less for China, or you don't push for New Zealand or something like this. You cannot be everywhere at the same time. I also realized there's some LST here, somehow. Don't know where they come from. Not that it's really mattered too much for me. Oh. Yeah, what I want to see is my units are in, or better say, attack value. So this has the 3 divisions. It was really only the 3 divisions. The rest is all support. And I have fort level 2 here. And morale is okay. And 85% equipment is also okay. Nothing, of course, first class, but good enough to hold the base. I don't know if there's anything else. I'm unloading my division. Is already finished unloading. Oh yeah, everything is already unloaded. And you can see that the supplies are still in dire need. So all of the supplies I was able to bring in with this division was only emergency delivery. The true equipment is coming here. This is much more, 10,000 or more than 10,000. This will maybe really help my units to get back to normal conditions. Yeah. And once this is done, I must first here clean Hamilton again and maybe push it back. The question is if I push for Auckland or if I maybe say, okay, I try to go for Wellington first, because Auckland is now all of the Australian units. So maybe it's better and easier to take first Wellington. Then I have also a big deep water port. And then I think there's also no airbase more for the Allies to really use a lot. I mean, he can use Auckland, but Auckland is always in range of my aircraft. We will see. The only information is maybe important is where's the carriers? No, my subs find nothing. I try to get a hit on these units, but they escaped. So, now I can only really say, okay, prepare the invasion for Pagan. The reinforcements, they are coming already. So my carriers can better come and stay close by and give air cover. The allies try to kick me out. My units are now all very disabled, but again, for defense is okay. Of course, they are not strong enough to take the island, but with the reinforcements, so maybe 1 turn, 2 turns, maybe 3rd of June I can attack. So we are already in June. In Tokyo, the situation for material supplies is all very stable. I keep always 1,500 supplies in surplus in Tokyo. The 1 million resources I try to keep, and also the same with the oil. And if I have this oil, I mean crude oil 1 million and the resources 1 million, then I know I have enough to keep all the industry of Japan running. And if I have over 150,000 supplies, everything over 150,000 supplies out of Tokyo I can normally take out. The 150 is only to keep everything smoothly running, that there's never any shortage. And and China also is now normally long time no shortage more of supplies, because I have overproduction of supplies. I can always ship some to Shanghai or wherever. And even if it needs some time and some days before the supplies arrive, if you do this continuously, of course, then you have continuously a flow from Shanghai coastline to the inner area. And over time, this normally keep everyone happy. So because this is the new month, I can maybe check. So you can also see here now more or less what is the industry situation. The heavy industry is with a maximum output of 16,500 supplies, plus the light industry nearly of 11,000 supplies. And the refineries will produce here 3,000 and a little supply. So you can see that this is a real production, because some are disabled. So I get here 16,000 a little. If this together is like 27,000, so 30,000, a little over 30,000, but let's say 30,000 supplies I produce per day. And I think the game start with, I don't know, more 24,000 or 25,000. I don't know. So I think I increase the production roughly from around 5,000 per day more per day. Or the daily production, 5,000 more. I still have the refineries are requesting 33,000 and a little crude oil per day. And I only have a production from 28,000 crude oil. So I'm still losing 5,000 tons of crude oil per day. But because I take Palmbank and all of the stuff, there's over 500,000 tons. Or 100,000 tons. So there's always, even if I have not enough crude oil, so far it's enough to keep the refineries running non-stop. And I also have 3,000 disabled oil plants, so I could increase at least to 31,000, and then I'm closing the difference, and then of course I think it's enough. Yeah. It's only tells you don't must really build any new refineries, and you must always, and sometimes you can even think that if you want really repair all refineries, you don't it's up to the player if he won't do this. It's not always makes sense, because if you have simply not enough crude oil, then why you need more refineries? But refineries always produce also supplies, and supplies I think is I don't know if it's more important than fuel. So long you have enough fuel, and it's like if you have enough fuels and enough supplies, then it's never an issue. But I think supplies are still the more critical part of the game for the Japanese. Or at least in 42. Maybe 44 is something else. Yeah, and you can see that yeah, I really built nothing more. If you only some in Chengdu and Changsha, there's some broken stuff. Not that it's really repair. The engine production is also now more or less finished. I don't really need to produce anything more. I have everywhere more than 500. So enough. Also the R&D, I only have R&D for 43 and 45 engines. I think everything else is not necessary. The H60K is automatically. The air production is yeah, 100 for zeros, and then roof fighters, because why not? They're okay. But not really too much overproduction. 40 torpedo bombers, 40 dive bombers is enough. And if I'm coming over 50 or 60 in pool, then I often switch it off. At least before, because I have not enough engines. Now I could normally let it run non-stop. The Helen production is over 60 already, so I produce 2 Helens per day. And the Nick is now coming to 1 airframe per day. But I still don't have enough Nicks to really change 1 air wing. I could make it, but I wait maybe a little longer. The Helens are ready for 1 more air wing. And the R&D is more, in this game I more or less go directly to A6M8, and I skip everything between. So, but you can see that I think the game starts with April 45 or May 45, and now already was able to push this airframe to September 44, and next turn I have August 44. So I try to get this airplane much faster than everything else. It's not the best one, but it's still an improvement over the normal M2. That for sure. And the rest is still, Oscars need more time, Tojo need more time, but I have at least 2 factories already producing R&D. So maybe I can get, because now it's June, I don't know if I can get it to July. I think this will be hard, the Tojo. In best case, I can in July get the Tojo. And the Helens 2Bs is the last one. Once this is done, I can change all of these R&D factories for something else. And the rest is all too far away because they're all mid-game and end-game stuff. Yeah. Good. If you have any questions, let me know. And yeah, see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.